Hi, Kevin Mottley at the Mottley Law Firm. I recently did a video on whether you are required to give a recorded statement to the other driver's insurance company, and I explained how the answer to that is no. Now, the question I raised, though, in that video was what happens if you do give a recorded statement to an insurance company's representative? Well, I'll do a little story for you to kind of illustrate what can happen. So we recently handled a case involving a traumatic brain injury suffered by a 21-year-old young lady who was involved in an accident on Interstate 81 with a tractor trailer. And it was not her fault. The tractor trailer came into her lane and caused her car to spin and then pushed her car down the interstate for quite a distance. And she suffered a mild traumatic brain injury in that crash, which is otherwise known as a concussion. She went to the emergency room. They checked her over. She had a headache, a really bad headache. She had some amnesia about the accident itself. But they basically did what they do in a lot of these cases. They released her home with her father. So she went home. A couple of days later, when she was out of work, still at home, and trying to rest, a claims adjuster, insurance representative representing the trucking company, called her at her house. And she picked up the phone, and they asked if they could talk to her and get a recorded statement from her, and she said yes. At this point, she hadn't talked to any lawyer. She didn't know what she was going to do with her claim, didn't really know how she was going to be long term after this accident. So she gave the recorded statement, and she didn't say anything wrong or anything incorrect or harmful to her case in that recorded statement. At this point, though, it's a couple days after the accident, she had not been advised by medical professionals that she had a long-term concussion or mild traumatic brain injury. She hadn't received that medical information yet. She didn't, and she's not a doctor. So she has no idea what the nature of her injury is at that point or how it's going to be affecting her for the rest of her life. But she's asked questions about her injuries by the insurance representative, and it's recorded. So a couple of years later, we're having a trial in that case, and guess what shows up at the trial? It's the recorded statement, and the trucking company tries to argue that she's not injured based on that. So that's what can happen when you give a recorded statement. It didn't work in that case. We ended up getting a very nice verdict for that young lady. But it'll be used against you if you give a recorded statement. And the insurance company who is taking it from you is not your friend, and they're not out there to protect your interests. Thanks a lot.